to Sarah Snuggs, who is our trainer for today.
Thank you, Danielle. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Snuggs. I'm the Director of Training Services with ACT Aspire, and we have some information we're going to be covering today. Here is our agenda. We're going to start with some test administration and due dates, and then we will go into some enhancements and updates for ACT Aspire. This includes the ACT Aspire landing page, some technology updates, some general spring 2016 updates and reminders, and then we'll dive into the ACT Aspire portal. So let's get started with a review of your test administration and due dates. So initially, the student data information is going to be sent from DPI to ACT Aspire. And so the window for you to go in and confirm your 9th and 10th grade student data files in the portal will start on February 26th and will run through March 18th. So once that data is in there, you will want to go into the portal and make sure that everything is there and accurate. And we're going to go through some information later in the training to cover some different ways that you can verify that information. That same window from February 26th through March 18th, this is also when you'll need to make sure that all of the accommodations for students who require accommodations or accessibility supports, that information is entered into their personal needs profile, the PNP, within the ACT Aspire portal. And again, we'll cover some ways that you can do that here later in the training. March 7th through March 18th, this is your window to create your paper-based test sessions and put the students in that need accommodations into those test sessions. That's how you are going to order your paper-based materials. And this should be rare. Only your students who require large print, Braille, or American Sign Language are eligible to test with the paper-based test. So again, March 7th through March 18th, you need to create those test sessions and enter any students into those test sessions in order to receive their materials. March 7th through April 15th, this will be the window to set up all of your online test sessions. March 30th will be the deadline for your technology coordinators to complete the Proctor caching setup. And Proctor caching is free supplied technology that you can install on any computer to ensure that you're reducing the bandwidth requirements for delivering your online assessments. So Proctor caching is very important. You want to make sure your technology coordinators get that set up so that, again, you're reducing the internet service provider requirements, the ISP requirements, in order to deliver the content to your students. From March 4th through March 6th, this is when test coordinators will receive their paper shipments for those students who, again, needed the large print, Braille, or American Sign Language materials. And then April 25th through May 27th will be your testing window. And then after testing, you need to return all of your paper-based answer documents to ACT Aspire, and those do need to be received by June 3rd. Any documents received by ACT Aspire after June 3rd will not be scored. So you need to make sure you're allowing enough time for transit to get back to ACT Aspire. Don't ship them back on June 3rd. That will be too late. You need to get them back to ACT Aspire for scoring by that deadline. Okay, so now I want to talk about some updates to the landing page. And first of all, the customer contact information on the landing page has been updated. So when you click on this customer contact link, you can see the ACT Aspire support page. And the landing page itself is accessible at actaspire.pearson.com. That is the landing page for ACT Aspire. So you'll see now that Wisconsin, when you call into the phone tree, there will be options. And so you are now option 7 on the phone tree. When you select that, you will be routed to agents who are trained specifically for Wisconsin to help answer any questions that you may have when you call into the call center. Also on the landing page, there is a tab for training and manuals, and you can find a calendar of events. ACT Aspire hosts regularly occurring webinars that districts and schools can attend, and we cover, as you can see, a variety of different topics. Anyone is welcome to attend as many sessions as they would like and as often as you wish. So the sessions began back on February 2nd, and so the spring sessions are available for registration now. These are, again, general sessions, so of course today we're talking specifically for Wisconsin. These are general sessions for any district or school to attend, so just be aware that it will cover some general information and may not be, of course, Wisconsin specific. Also on that training and manuals tab on the landing page, there is a step-by-step training resources section that you can use. Steps are available here for both computer-based and paper-based testing. And as you can see, they provide a high-level overview of the steps, as well as links to valuable resources that will help you complete that specific step. These are great resources for new test coordinators who are just learning the process, but even for our experienced coordinators who've been through this before, it can help you refresh on a specific step if you have questions or need to find, again, resources to help you complete it. I want to note that step 1 and step 3, these are the organizational file and the student data file. These are completed by DPI for you, while the others will need to be completed by the district and or school. For step 3, which is the student data, like we just talked about, that window will be there for you to confirm your student data in the portal. So you still need to kind of partially complete that to make sure all your student data information is in there. And again, we're going to discuss that process later in the training. Another valuable resource you'll find on the landing page are the exemplars, and they have their own tab, exemplars that you can access. And these go through and give you a chance to gain experience with using TestNav. TestNav is the student platform for accessing the online assessments. And again, this site is available to all of our ACT Aspire customers. So you'll see that there are all grades and subjects available. You want to remember that in Wisconsin, you are only going to be testing grades 9 and 10, the early high school. So you can ignore those other grades. If you want to go into the exemplars, you'll always want to choose those 9 and 10 early high school. And the exemplars, these are a collection of sample test items and tasks, and they are, as you can see, now grade specific. The content is comprised of separate grade bands per subject that show multiple item types and formats. You can access these anytime from your laptop or desktop, and of course, you do need to be connected into the internet. And you'll also see down here at the bottom that there are test question booklets, and these accompany each exemplar, and they provide an overview of what is going to be assessed on the exemplar, along with improvement idea statements that you can use to help students continue building on their current level of skill and knowledge. There's also on Avocet, and we're going to talk a little bit about Avocet here in a minute, but Avocet is our online resource of manuals and documents. There is a document on there for the TestNav embedded tools, and it describes each of the tools that are available within the TestNav environment and what their functionality is. And so as you're going through the exemplars, you can view and practice using those tools. And these exemplars are, of course, available to administrators, room supervisors, and very much we would encourage students to be in there as well, so that they are getting an opportunity to use TestNav before the day of testing. And then another resource available on the landing page. This is again on your training and manuals tab under the section for Avocet and Training Management System. This is the training management system, which you'll often hear referred to as the TMS. It is a website where you can go and access self-paced training modules and demonstration videos. So after today's training, you have questions, you want to go back over certain information, you can come on here, and under the summative section, you can view training modules. And these were all updated throughout the fall. They have a new look and feel for this 2015-16 school year, and we are continuing to make updates to these as information changes in the portal. You'll see in the description, we have added on an updated dateline, so you are aware when content has been refreshed, since we are constantly making updates in there. And there's also a brand new tab for enhancement demos. This tab houses recordings that quickly outline the portal enhancements when they are released. These recordings are going to be posted about every 6 weeks, and I do want to note that these are just recorded videos. They are not going to appear on your transcript. So for these under the summative tab, as you complete these trainings, they will appear on a transcript that you can confirm which trainings you've accessed and when you completed them. The enhancement demos will not appear on that transcript. So brand new, Avocet, like I was talking about, this is our online site where you can go find manuals and documents for the ACT Aspire assessments. We've just launched state-specific Avocet sites. So there's one just for Wisconsin, and that URL is avocet.pearson.com/Wisconsin ACT Aspire/home. So if you have the old Avocet bookmark, you want to remove that and replace it with this new Wisconsin one. So everything on here will be Wisconsin specific, the training manuals, room supervisor manuals, those sorts of things. They will be specific to the Wisconsin experience. So you want to make sure, again, replace your Avocet bookmark with this new one. And I'm going to just give that one more time, avocet.pearson.com/Wisconsin ACT Aspire/home. Okay, so now we're going to cover technology updates. This is on the landing page. You'll see there's a technology setup tab, and these are going to, or this is going to have all your resources for System Check, Proctor Cache, and TestNav, and that includes the Proctor Cache installer. So I was saying, by March 30th, your technology coordinators need to have Proctor Cache set up. These are the installers that they will need to use to install Proctor Cache on the computers that will be serving as a Proctor caching machine and get that set up in time for testing. And then further down on the technology setup, so that was where we were just looking, there's those Proctor Cache installers. There are TestNav app installers. ACT Aspire highly recommends that you use one of these apps for your testing experience rather than browser-based testing. Browser-based testing is still available, but with the apps, no Java is required when you're using these. And so for that reason alone, feedback has been extremely positive that the districts prefer using the apps. They don't have to make sure that the Java is always up to date like they do with their browsers. So as you can see, all of the apps are available. And based on the platform that you're going to be using, you can download the app or apps that you will need for testing. And you can do a blended method of testing. You could have the desktop app installed on desktops and laptops. If you're using iPads or Chromebooks in your district, then you can also download those. And of course, you can also still use browser-based testing if you want. So you can use any or all of these as needed. I do want to remind folks, though, that the Chrome browser, this is not the Chromebook, but the Chrome browser no longer supports the Java plugin, so you can no longer use Chrome in order to launch TestNav. So that's why the desktop app was developed, that folks who are using the Chrome browser, the Linux operating system, or of course, those of you who just prefer having an installable solution, you can use this desktop app on your laptops and desktops. And it supports all the same interaction types, tools, Proctor caching, accessibility features, etc. The student experience will be the same with the apps as it is on the browser-based testing. And then if you are using one of these TestNav apps, I just want to make you aware that upon the initial launch of the app, you're going to get this customer selection screen, and you'll just want to choose ACT Aspire from the list. And then after that, each time that you launch the app, it's going to remember that you select the ACT Aspire and will take the students directly to the login screen. So it's just going to be that first time. Make sure you choose ACT Aspire from the selection screen. And now I just want to go through a few technology reminders and updates. So first of all, technology coordinators, as they're setting up the Proctor caching environment, you need to make sure to have them purge any existing pre-cached content from your previous assessments from the Proctor caching machines, and then they would download the new content for the spring assessments. And on Avocet, there is a Proctor caching user guide, and there's information in there about how to purge the existing content from the Proctor caching machine. Next, you want to make sure that all of the student workstations and devices have their apps installed and are fully updated if you're going to be doing the app-based testing. If you already had apps installed, make sure that the most current version is on there so that there's no issues when the students attempt to launch it for logging in. And if you are going to be using browsers for testing, you of course just want to make sure that they are properly configured and that TestNav can launch, that they can get to the login screen. And then on the day of testing, we always recommend that you have the TestNav login screen up for students to quickly get logged in and begin testing. Okay, so now some spring updates and reminders. This is the test time by grade and subject table, and this can be found in both your test coordinator and room supervisor manuals. You'll see that for early high school, the different time limits for each of the subjects. For English text audio, for sighted English audio for the blind, these do apply to those rare instances for your paper-based testing. So you need to make sure that the room supervisors, of course, are tracking the time and giving them the extended time for the applicable subjects. As far as these administration times, they do begin only after room supervisors have given the verbal instructions and students then log into TestNav. So once the students log into TestNav, then it has a timer. It's going to keep track of these times and run, count down to 0. So for the computer-based testing, TestNav is going to take the time and apply it for the students. Again, for those rare paper-based administrations, those are your large print, Braille, and American Sign Language, the timer that the room supervisor is using, they should only begin that timer after students have completed any pre-test answer document grading, and again, after the students have received their verbal instructions. And no matter how you're administering your test, whether it's computer or paper, if you're going to be administering 2 or more tests in a single sitting, you need to make sure that you're planning for some administration time in between each test, 5 to 10 minutes maybe in between each test, so that you can gather your materials. These are student authorization tickets and scratch paper for your online sessions, of course scratch paper and completed answer documents and test booklets for your paper-based. So you need to make sure that you're planning time to collect those materials and distribute new ones, as well as go over those verbal instructions for the next test. So make sure you're planning for that time if you're, again, delivering 2 or more tests in a single sitting. A brand new login page was made available on January 13th for the ACT Aspire portal. So the login credential fields were moved here to the front. Previously, you had to click sign in and then enter your email and password. So those are here on the front page. Save you a click, get that information in. But you'll also see that we have included links to valuable resources. So this first one is the Avocet resources. So you can click on that. Again, though, I would recommend using that bookmark. I provided earlier, the avocet.pearson.com/Wisconsin-ACT-Aspire/home. That's your Wisconsin specific. On the portal, this links to our general resources on a general Avocet. So you'll want to use your specific Avocet link. But training will take you to the training management system where, again, you can view all of those online self-paced training modules. And there's also a link to the discoveractaspire.org website. So those are there if you need some support. So once you get logged into the portal, it's very important that you take some time to review the users that are within your district and clean them up. We've rolled over your users from the previous assessment. So you need to go in, make sure that only the correct people have access for your upcoming assessment. So once you get logged in, go to Organizations and select Organization Members from the drop-down menu. You need to verify that your district and school contacts are still accurate and that users have the correct portal roles. There's only one administrator at the district level, and this person was designated in the organizational file provided by DPI to ACT Aspire. And then at the school level, there should be only one administrator and one test coordinator. And then the rest of the staff should be assigned to test sessions as room supervisors. So it's important that you remove any users who are no longer with the district or who are no longer going to be administering the ACT Aspire assessments. You only want to have the users that should have access to the portal in there. And that ensures that your student information is remaining secure and only seen by those who should have access to it. After you've reviewed who has access to each of your orgs, of course, you may realize that you have new staff members who need to be invited into the portal. And you can extend those directly from the portal. You want to make sure that you're extending those invites from the school level if they are not district personnel. So your selected organization up in the upper right-hand corner of the portal. If they're district level personnel, you'll choose your district organization. If they are a school level user, then you want to change to that school where the user will be administering the assessment, and then go to invite new members on the organization members menu. You'll be prompted to enter their professional email address and then choose the role you wish to apply for them. And as you start to send these invites to new users, it'd be good to just give them a heads up that a portal invite is going to be sent to them. These will be sent from admin@actaspire.org. So if they can't locate the email, then make sure that they are checking into their spam folders, because sometimes those go in there. Okay, so now we're going to talk about verifying your student data information. So there is a new process that we're going to go through. This is called the reverse student data upload, the SDU. So whenever I say SDU, I'm talking about a student data upload. In this case, we're going to talk about a reverse student data upload. So over the fall, any existing personal needs profile, PNP information, was rolled over in the portal. And remember that personal needs profile contains all of the students' accessibility and accommodation support selections. Then this spring, DPI is providing ACT Aspire with a statewide student data upload SDU file that contains all the student data for the upcoming spring assessment. So based on the student ID, if the student ID remained the same for a student, it's going to see that that student already had a personal needs profile and link it to the student ID as it comes back in. So between February 26th and March 18th, this is when you need to go in and confirm all of your student data is there. You want to make sure that all of the students are there, that that information is accurate, and then again, you'll also need to update their personal needs profiles as needed. So there are two ways that you can review the data. You can do it individually in the portal, and this is the process you used in the past. You'd go to students and find student, enter the student's name or student ID, and go to their student profile. You can continue to do that. You can view it and make edits directly in the portal. or for the student data upload information. This is not the personal needs profile. The student data upload contains, the student's name, their date of birth, student ID, groups and teacher information. All of that's on the student data upload. So you can now use, as of February 26th, when your window opens, you'll be able to use a reverse student data upload functionality in the portal that downloads all of the information that we received from DPI, puts it into a CSV file that you can use to then view all of your data in one report. This also enables you to quickly review the information, but you can also make updates directly on that CSV file and then import it back into the portal so that it makes updates in bulk. So you can still do it individually, again, like you did in the past, or you'll also be able to use this reverse SDU, reverse student data upload, to review all the information, make updates, even add students as needed on that file, and import it back into the portal. And we're going to go over this process. So again, this starts on February 26th with the opening of your window, and you will access this by going to Students on the navigation bar and then choosing Student Extracts from your drop-down menu. And depending on your current organization, the organization that you have selected over in your top right-hand corner, you will be able to see the district and or school tabs. And you can choose an organization tab to view the available reports, so you can choose between district and school, but you will only be able to generate a report at your current organization level. So as a district, if you have your district selected as your organization, you'll only be able to generate a complete district-wide student data upload file. If you want to do that at the school level, then you'll want to make sure you change your organization over in the right-hand corner. And then you'll select this reverse SDU hyperlink to either view or generate a report. So this will take you to the reverse SDU extract screen, and you'll see over here there's a Generate Extract Report button. This will allow you to create a new report. You can view them down here under the action, click Download. So once a report has been generated, you can download it. Again, you'll be able to review it and make any necessary updates. And then if you're using this to make updates, then you'd save your report, and then you'll be able to upload the changes into the portal. We're going to go through that page in just a little bit after we go through the reverse personal needs profile extract as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about those personal needs profile, the PMP updates. So as of January 13th, if you go into a student profile, you're going to see that there are some changes on the personal needs tab of the student's profile. So the PMP underwent some significant changes. So remember, this personal needs profile is where you're going to have all of the students' accessibility and accommodation support selections. So in response to feedback from the field, ACT Aspire is preparing to allow districts the ability to select supports for specific subjects. So it's always been that if you select a support, it applied across subjects. And students may not have needed them for all 3 or 5, whatever the case might be, subjects, and you only wanted it for a certain subsection of that. So you'll see that these subject-specific selections are now visible in the portal. However, they are not going to be available for this spring. So as you make your selections, just remember that while you can select 1 or more subjects, that support is still going to apply to all listed subjects when you select it. But just know it's coming soon. Very, very soon you'll be able to do subject-specific supports. But for this spring, it's still across all subjects. And then we're going to talk about the PMP extract report, but I just want to note that the extract report has been updated so that you also see the subject-specific selections as you extract data and then import it back into the portal. And as we're talking about the PMP, the Personal Needs Profile, I just want to remind folks that on that PMP screen on the student profile, you're going to see options that are available, but they are not allowable in Wisconsin. So you're seeing all of the support selections that are available for ACT Aspire, but again, they may not be specific to Wisconsin. So you want to make sure that you review the Wisconsin Accessibility Users Guide to confirm what are your allowable selections. And that's going to help you prevent any irregularity incidents from occurring. The User's Guide is posted on that Wisconsin Avocet site, but it's also available on the Wisconsin ACT testing site. And so that's located at act.org/aap/Wisconsin/aspire.html. And on this screenshot, it said coming soon, but it is there now. So the Accessibility Users Guide, again, you want to make sure you're reviewing it so that you're only giving students accommodations that are allowed in Wisconsin. Okay, so now we're going to go through the Personal Needs Profile extract process, and it's a fairly high-level overview right now. But I just want to make sure you know that there is a self-paced training available on the TMS, on the training management system, so that you can refresh on this, how you're going to generate and import a PMP extract after today's training. So again, your window for making updates to the student's Personal Needs Profile, that's going to open on February 26th. And so you're going to go to the same place where you generated your reverse SDU. It's again under Student Extracts on the menu. And same as we talked about before, you're going to want to make sure you're at the correct organization. So depending on your organization, you'll be able to see the different tabs, district and or school. But you'll only be able to generate a report at the organization level that's selected in your top right-hand corner. So from here, you'll choose that reverse PMP option, and it's going to take you into the reverse PMP extract screen. So from here, you'll see your district and school, but you'll only be able to generate at the screen that you're at. So you'll choose Generate Extract to create a report. And then once it's available, then you'll be able to choose, download, the download button under the action to download it and make updates. And once you download that, in this case, it's going to show all of the information for the Personal Needs Profile. So remember, on the student data upload, it had all of the information like the student's last name, first name, date of birth, student ID, that sort of information. You will still be able to see the student information so that you can verify that you're working with the correct student, but it's not going to have that same information. It's just going to have for you to make updates. You're just going to be seeing all of the Personal Needs Profile information now so that you can make updates to those individual students and review the information. So once you make updates, then you'll be able to save and upload it back into the portal. So from the dashboard, you're going to go to Students and then Import Student Data from the drop-down menu to get to this Student Profile Import screen. So this is where you'll see that there's two tabs. So for those student data upload, the SDU extract that you ran previously, if you made updates to it, you would choose that first tab in order to import it. And then here you'll see that there's the PMP-DU imports. This stands for the Personal Needs Profile Data Upload. So you would choose this second tab for updating and importing your PMP extract information. So whichever tab you're on, you'll see it turns blue so that you know which one's selected. And then you'll be able to choose the Import PMP Updates to locate the file that you saved on your desktop or other location, and then import it back into the portal. So the file, once you select it and import it, it's going to be uploaded into the portal, it will be validated and saved there. And then you will be able to, again, choose that download action in order to download it and see if there were errors. So you'll see this status column. If everything was successful and everything was updated and there was no issues, the status will show as success. But if you see that it failed, any students that were that had no issues, those will be updated in the portal immediately. But any students who have an error, you'll be able to review what that error was so that you can make updates. So you would select that download option. It's going to download an Excel CSV file, and it's going to insert an errors column so that you can identify which ones were successfully updated and had no issues, and which ones had errors that were not updated so that you can focus in on just those students. So you'll be able to make updates, and then if you use that downloaded file to correct the errors, and you're going to re-import it back into the portal, the only thing that you need to remember is that you need to delete that errors column before you import it back in. So it's there to give you information. You've identified which students you need to make updates to. You've made that update. Then delete the errors column, and then you can update it or import it back into the portal for updating. And like I said, I know that's very high level, which is why I just want to remind you the TMS, the training management system, has self-paced training to help walk you through these steps. Okay, so now we are going to talk about test sessions. There are two options for creating your test sessions in the portal. So brand new is creating multiple. We're going to talk about creating single first, though. So this is the way that you created test sessions in the past, single sessions. These are still best if you want to create your test sessions by a teacher or group, or if you're going to have those rare instances where you need to create a paper-based test session. You'll want to create those individually and then import or add the students into those individual test sessions. So for your paper-based test sessions, remember, you need to have those done by March 18th so that you receive paper materials for those students. So you'll create the single session, then you'll add and select your individual students to add to that session. You'll still be able to use the filter. So like I said, if you wanted to add a specific group to a session, then you can still do that using the create single process. Brand new though, we have the multiple sessions option. So you can create multiple sessions at a time, and this is best for schools that are going to create their sessions at the grade level. You don't care about teacher or group or any separate information, homeroom. You just want to have it all created at the grade level. This is a great option for you. In this case, students are going to be automatically assigned to the sessions, though you can still add or remove students manually as you've done in the past. When you create the sessions, we're going to go through the process. You're still going to be able to select the test being given, define your testing schedule, name the session. Well, not name the session, it's going to name it for you, but you can still add or verify your proctor caching details as well. So this is that new tab. So create single is the one that you're familiar with from last year. Create multiple is new for you. So in step one, you'll still select the test administration you want to administer. So for example, summative spring 2016. You'll choose the mode of testing, and you'll see that paper and online are here. For Wisconsin, you should not choose paper. Remember, that's a rare instance that you're going to have students taking a paper-based test. Paper, you'll always want to use create single. So for Wisconsin, you really want to choose online. Then you'll determine your testing window. And remember, your testing window has already been set for you for Wisconsin. So you want to enter that appropriate start and end date for your testing window, which is, again, April 25th is the start of the window, and then May 27th is the end of your window. You can choose start and end times as far as when TestNav will be available to students during the day, start and end. You can even choose specific days during the week if you want to only have TestNav available, say, Monday through Thursday, and you don't intend to do testing on Fridays. If you deselect Friday, then students would not be able to log into TestNav at all on a Friday. So you'll determine your testing window, enter that information, and then in step 4, this is where it kind of diverges. So in this case, you'll see that all of your students are available. So I can see that I have 10th grade available at the school. I have 418 10th grade students. I'll choose which subject or subjects I want to create test sessions for, and it's going to add all 418 students into test sessions for the subjects I select. You'll still want to set up your Proctor caching if needed. This will default to the information that your technology coordinators entered if you have default Proctor caching settings. Otherwise, you can do it manually for the sessions as well. And then you'll click Create Test Sessions. And at that point, the portal is going to create test sessions for you for each of the selected subjects. So after you click that Create Test Sessions, it's going to take you here to the My Test Sessions screen to view the created tests. And I just want to note that depending on the number of sessions that you create with this process, it can take up to a couple hours depending on the number of students, the number of test sessions it needs to create. So it can take a little while. But once they are created, they'll be here on the My Test Sessions on your Not Started tab. So computer-based test sessions. This is a portal default, so unfortunately you can't modify that. It's going to add up to 200 students per computer-based test session. So in our case, we had 418 students. The portal is automatically going to create 3 test sessions for me. One with 200, a second with 200, and then one with 18 students. That's my 418 students. So if you wanted to create them with fewer students, like 100 students, you would want to use the Create Single process, and then you can copy those test sessions from the test session details and create multiple sessions from there. So the Create Multiple, automatically going to put them in with 200, and students will then be added into the sessions automatically. They're going to be in alphabetical order based on their last name. So session 1 will start with my students with the last name of A, and then it'll put them all the way through, ending with your Z's in your last session. So like I said, it can take a couple hours for all of your test sessions to be created. You can, of course, leave the portal if you need to, and then come back and check on your creation status if it's taking a while. So in the portal, this would be on the summative test option up on the navigation bar. You choose summative tests, and then you'll choose test session creation status from your drop-down menu. And so from this screen, you'll see that there is a Create Multiple button, and you can sort the information as needed. You can search if you want. You can search by date, person, or status. And you'll see that there's a couple different statuses available. So completed success means all the students in all grades and subjects were added into test sessions and there was no issue. The status completed warnings means that some students were added, but some students had a warning. So perhaps, for example, a student was already in an existing test session. You had students that you already put into a paper-based test session. It was not able to add them into a computer-based test session, since students can only take one grade and subject combination for the summative testing. So you'll see that completed warning status pops up, and you'd want to click on that to view which students had warnings and if any action is required on your part. So also by popular demand, before you had to go into each individual test session and start it, changing the test session status from ready to in progress and start the test session. We've added some options on to perform actions on multiple test sessions at once. So you will be able to start multiple test sessions at a time, as well as add your users, your room supervisors, to multiple test sessions at once. Try to answer a couple questions I'm seeing coming up on the chat. There's a question about the 200 students in the test session. If you want to put them into 4 different rooms, would you be able to do this manually? Yes, so you'd still want to use that create single rather than the create multiple, and then you can put them into the 4 different sessions, based on their teacher or the room. You can still break them out separately using the create single process. And then I see another question as well about the student data information. Is the state going to import all of that into the portal? So yes, so the state is going to provide ACT Aspire with the student data upload for the whole state, but then you still need to go back in and verify the information. So you need to make sure all your 9th and 10th grade students are there, so that then you can get them into the appropriate test sessions and make sure that they're taking an assessment. Okay, so these actions, so we're going to go through now for multiple test sessions. Like I said, you can now start or add users to multiple sessions at once. So I'm going to talk about the first one first, the start test sessions. So once you choose start test sessions, then it'll take you to this screen. You'll see that it says start test sessions, and you will only see test sessions that are in a ready status. So test sessions will start as scheduled. You're going to have your window to start creating your test sessions before, of course, the testing window. So then you're going to create your test sessions, and they will be in a scheduled status. So that window, again, for your online test sessions is March 7th through April 15th. And then your testing window is going to start on April 25th. So before April 25th, those test sessions are going to be in a scheduled status. As of April 25th, they'll convert into a ready status. So at that point, you'll be able to start the test sessions. So now you can start multiple at once. Again, previously you had to do each test session individually. Now you'll be able to check the box next to all the sessions you want to start, and then you'll click Submit. Confirmation screen will display, and it's going to start those sessions. But again, it can take a while for all of your sessions to start, depending on the number of sessions you select. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself time. If you're intending to start testing, at 8 a.m., right when school starts, you need to make sure you're starting the test sessions before that, so that students can get logged into TestNav. So make sure you're giving yourself time. Give yourself a couple hours before testing starts, so that they are moved into a started status. And then once they get started, they'll move from not started to in progress. And at that point, again, students will be able to log into TestNav and begin testing. So now we're going to talk about the second option on the action. So that first one was the starting multiple test sessions. Now we're going to talk about the adding users to test sessions. You now have the ability to invite multiple room supervisors at once, and you can do that to multiple test sessions if needed. So for this functionality, you do need to have your school selected. It does not work at the district level, and actually that's true on the previous one. I think I forgot to note that. But for both of these, start multiple or add users to test sessions, you do need to be at the school level in order for the functionality to work. They do not work at the district level. So after you choose add users to test sessions, it is going to take you to this screen, and in this case, it's going to show all test sessions that have not been closed out, that you haven't chosen the closed option on the test session. They're not in the completed status. So this will include scheduled, ready, or even in progress test sessions. You'll then be able to, again, check the box next to the sessions that you want to invite users to. And again, if you're going to have the same users and multiple test sessions, you can choose multiple sessions if needed. And then click Submit. And it's going to take you to the screen, which is very familiar probably from the when you're inviting authorized users from your test sessions, it's a very similar window where you can see all of your users that are currently in the portal, and you can add or remove users from test sessions. So you'd select, again, the checkbox next to the users that you want to invite, and then you'll be able to apply permissions. So you can choose from test supervisor. More likely you'll be using the room supervisor, or you can choose guest. If you have folks who were already invited and maybe they're room supervisor and they are in the wrong test session, you want to remove them, then you would choose not assigned. So not assigned will remove folks from the test sessions that they are already in. So you'll be able to see what role they have, if any, and then choose a new permission to apply to them. And then when you're done, you'll just come down and click Save, and the selected users will then have immediate access to the test sessions that you've updated. That's how you can invite multiple room supervisors into a session or multiple sessions as needed. Okay, so now we're going to the authorization tickets. Just want to note that the authorization tickets have been updated. We've now added the student ID there, and that's to help you ensure that you're getting the authorization tickets to the correct student. So previously we just had their name. We've added the student ID to make sure you're matching up authorization ticket to student. And then you still have the option to print, multiple PDFs per page, or use the CSV file. But if you do choose a single page PDF, we have optimized the white space available so that this can double as the student scratch paper. You can use that authorization ticket for the student scratch paper. Again, you can still print, the 4 or 10 authorization tickets per PDF. But again, single page, just more white space so that they can use it for their scratch paper. Okay, so the next brand new thing we want to talk about is the registered returned status report. So the portal gives you status reports that help you track and monitor your sessions. So status reports, the existing status report was called the monitoring dashboard, which consisted of 4 different widgets, and I'm going to just kind of quickly go through what those widgets were. The first one was student test assignment, and that one gave you a count of the number of students that were assigned to take each test subject, as well as students not yet assigned to any test. The second widget was the test session status widget, and it showed how many tests were currently in each test status. So the test session itself, if it was ready, in progress, or closed, how many test sessions were in each status. The student PMP supports distribution widget shows information about how many students are assigned to each of the different accessibility and accommodation supports. And then the student session status widget would display the test sessions by type, your paper or online, and then within those sessions, what status the students were in. So, if the students were actively testing, or if they had exited or submitted, you had information about what status each of the students in the test session were in. So those are the 4 existing monitoring dashboard widgets. And then you'll see this new one, registered return status. And this was actually introduced on January 13th. So you technically will see it, but you haven't started creating test sessions or adding students to them. So at this point, it's not going to be very helpful, but once you get into your testing window, it's going to help you make sure that you're getting all of your students tested. This report helps you quickly see how many students have been registered for a test by putting them into a test session, have had a test start processing for scoring, and how many students are still unregistered. You can be at either the district or school level to view the report. However, your organization selection is going to impact what data you have available. I'm going to go through each of these, but just very high-level summary. Your district organization report, it's high-level details. If you choose a school organization, though, you're going to have the ability to drill all the way down to the student level, which is going to be really helpful for managing your students. So to access this report, so remember, go to a summative root test, registered return status. That's how you're going to access it. And then here, it's going to take you to the registered return status page. And up at the top, you'll see that if you have your district organization selected, you'll be able to toggle between district or school. And we're going to talk, though, about the district level district tab first. So this district tab summarizes all the students at all schools. It's going to have your district and summarize across here. You can click this plus icon to expand your view, and underneath you'll be able to see each of your grades. So your grades 9 and 10 underneath there, so you could see what percentage of students are in each of the statuses by their grade level or as a district summary. So you'll see these percentages across. These are the percentages of students that have been returned, registered, or not registered. So I'm going to talk about what those mean. So registered, which is our light orange color, you can see here down on the legend. Registered means that the student has been added to a test session for that subject. So each subject, you can see what status they're in. Returned means, and that's our dark orange, returned means that ACT Aspire has received the student's test and processing has begun. So it's an important clarification I want to make between your paper-based and your computer-based testing. So for paper-based testing, you're going to ship back the materials to us. You're going to return them to ACT Aspire. But until ACT Aspire has received them and begun processing them, they're still going to be considered registered. And so until the test actually starts processing, they're going to be registered. Once processing begins, they're going to move to that returned status. For computer-based testing, the processing technically begins within a few hours after the student submits their information, but this data is rolled up every night. So students should move to the return status for the applicable subject that they've submitted the day after testing is completed for them. So returned, we've received it, and it started processing, and again, it's going to be rolled up every night. So you can hover over a subject to get more information about the total number of students. 85% may not give you that much information. Now I can see specifically how many students. If I hover over that, I can see, I still have 2 students in my district that are not registered for this reading test, and I need to get them in. So now I'm going to talk about the district level. So I can still see my district tab is here. So I'm at the district organization, but I'm looking at a school tab. So from here, I can now view each of the schools within my districts. I see I have 3 high schools. I could still select, the plus icon next to a school to see the grade 9 and 10 specific underneath that organization. And again, I can still hover over a percentage field to get the exact student numbers. So very similar, just at the school level. So now I'm going to look at the school level school tab. So you'll see I only have a school selected or a school available. That means my organization that I selected up in my top right-hand corner is now a school. So if I have the school organization and I only have that school tab, I can still see my school as a whole. And here you'll see it expanded with, so I can see specifically my grades 9 and 10. And I can still hover over a percentage to get student numbers. But now I'll be able to actually click on the percentage and drill down to actually see the student information. So this is going to get you all the way down to that student level. This will take you here to this screen. And this is an example where we've drilled down to that student level. So here at the top, it's going to default to whatever grade I selected and subject. but you can change this, so you can filter it and make changes. You can see one or more tested grades, so you could see your 9 and 10 together, or just one individually. You can only see one subject at a time though, but you can change that. And then anytime you make changes to one of these drop downs, you'll just click Find Students to refresh your information. I can also choose to filter the list of information that I see, so I can see all students, returned students, registered students, or here that not registered, so that you know which students are not yet in a test session. So clicking Not Registered, I can then see the list of students and their information, so I know which students I still need to get into a test session. So that's really going to help you manage your students and ensure that all students are taking the test when they need to. Okay, so that is all of our presentations. We're going to open it up now to Q&A, go through possibly some Q&A that's already been queued up and answer those. Otherwise, we can start to take new Q&A. I'll hand it back over to you, Danielle.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's see. For the Q&A part, Jake and I have been answering questions in the Q&A session as we've gone. We haven't completely been able to keep up, but we've done a pretty good job, I think. Let's see. Are you able to open the Q&A portion as well,
yeah.
Sarah? Okay. So it looks like the first one that we haven't got to yet is their recommended number of students per Proctor caching server.
So it's really going to depend on, your individual setup. So you're going to want to use that system check. Let me just go over here. Oh, I don't have the landing page up. Let me get the landing page up real quick. So technology setup, and you'll want to use system check. So system check, I'm just going to allow this. I don't have, like I said, Java. Java is out of date, so that's why we recommend using the apps. Just go ahead and run system check. You are going to be able to use this testing capacity tab to see how many students you could actively test, and you should always run system check at on the same day and the same time that when you anticipate to do your student testing. So don't run this on the weekend or after school hours. If you're going to be testing on Monday at 9 a.m., run this testing capacity Monday at 9 a.m. And that'll help you determine, whatever testing capacity estimate comes up. If it says, that you could test 500 students and you need to test 1,000, obviously, you know that you need to add caching computers. And then you can add in your caching computers. You'll need the direct IP address for the caching computer where you have the Proctor caching software installed. And you can figure out how many computers you are going to need in order to Proctor cache and have one or multiple Proctor caching computers in order to service all of your students. It's really going to depend on your district and or school and how many students you need to test. So use system check, it's very helpful.
Thank you. And then I think kind of to go along with that, there was one question for, please review the URL for our technology person to access the instructions for caching and updating and et cetera, and that would be the landing page, correct?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, landing page, technology setup. You'll see it links them directly to the different resources for each of these different tools. It has the technical readiness manual for them. On Avocet, though, you can also go to T for technology coordinator, and you'll see that they can also find helpful resource here as well. So the landing page and Avocet.
Perfect.
If we're covering adding and transferring students, and if it works the same or differently, so we're not covering that in here today. They're again our TMS modules, but really the process will be, the same as last year. So again, initially the students are going to be added into the portal based on the student data upload that we receive from DPI. And then again, your window is going to be from February 26th through March 18th. You'll go in and confirm all of your student data is in there. You can do that manually as you did in the past. Go to the student profile and view each individual student. Or again, that reverse student data upload process that we went through today, you'll be able to use that starting February 26th to see all of the information on one CSV. Adding students, you can then do still manually in the portal, going to the students add student information. Let me just get logged in real quick. Try that one more time. Forgot. I changed my password. There we go. The students and then add student, you can still add them manually in the portal. But again, you'll also be able to add students or update students on that reverse student data upload file if you want. So either process you can use, the old one that you know and love from the past, or the new one where you can do multiple using the reverse SDU process. I see a question about testing the entire freshman and sophomore class on paper. Really, that's supposed to be an accommodation need. So your large print, your Braille, and your American Sign Language, those are the students who should be testing on paper. But for students who need a paper, again, those students should already be in the system. You'll still want to verify that they are there. And then when you create your test sessions for those students, you'll choose paper for the mode of testing and get the student in there, again, by March 18th in order to receive paper test materials. Question about DLM. I feel like we had that question last time. I do not remember the answer. Danielle?
I can answer that question.
I think,
or VG?
Yeah, yeah. So the students who will be taking DLM should be removed from the testing sessions. They should not be part of the test sessions in that portal. And those students should be entered in the DLM portal. So you will still have these students in the portal, but you will not place them in the testing sessions. And FAQ addressing the very same question is in the FAQ page. If you go under the policy FAQ, it's right there.
Great, thank you. Question about transferring students who move from one Wisconsin district to another during the testing window. That process is still the same, so you still have the student transfer request in order to transfer students who move from one district to another. One new thing is if a student has taken ACT Aspire at a different tenant, maybe you have a student who's moved in from, Alabama. Alabama does ACT Aspire testing. Technically, for summative testing, you can do what's called a tenant-to-tenant transfer. However, for those, you would need to contact the ACT Aspire customer service, call the toll-free number, choose option 7, and you want to let the agent know that you need to do that transfer. But district to district within Wisconsin, same process that you followed in the past. For this year, last spring, all of those transfers were being approved by the state. This year, the transfers will need to be approved by the schools. So if you receive a transfer request, you will now approve or reject that request as needed. That's the one change from last year. Okay, that clears out our Q&A chat box, it looks like.
you did.
VG, I'm gonna leave this question to you. This is a question about testing the entire freshman and sophomore class on paper. These are not students who need accommodations, but in place of explore and plan, will they need to input those students?
So is this a question? Did you also unmute the person who is asking that question, their line, so that we can ask them to clarify what school it is? Is it a private school, or why are they doing that? Because from the Q&A, it looks like they are trying to do both the paper testing as well as the online testing for the students who are in the choice program. So we need some clarification on that question. But again, I'm restating what you stated, that the paper test is only an accommodation. It's allowed only for students who will be using the large print, Braille, and ASL accommodation. That is not an option that's available for students who do not have those accessibility needs.
Sure, and Donna, it looks like you're the one that asked the question, and I have promoted you to a panelist and unmuted your line. So if you would like to clarify, you should be able to do so.
Okay, yes, we are a private school, but we were told that we could use it to test the entire student body.
That is misinformation. I do not know where you got that information.
Okay, I have to check with administration on that. Is there a number, someone that I could call to speak to?
Okay, you can contact Dwayne Dorn. Dwayne
Okay.
is our choice school primary person, and his number should be available on the assessment team webpage, but it is
Okay.
267-1069.
Okay, I will speak to my administration and then give Dwayne a call. Thank you.
Thanks.
And then I see the DLM question came in again. So yeah, you should remove those kids. Those DLM students should not be in test sessions. VG, this is probably more a question for you again. Is there a required number or percentage of students we need to test for each grade level? Are we penalized for not testing certain amounts?
All students should be tested. That's all I'm going to say. I do not know when you ask if you are going to be penalized, it looks more like an accountability question. That question should be directed to the accountability team.
Okay. Question is, can we print multiple student test tickets, student authorization tickets at once, or do you have to do it student by student? You can still print multiple. Let me go down to one of my schools. I think I have some students. There we go. There's one with 32 students. So, oh, that's an online or paper test. Sorry about that. Let me go to find my test sessions, make sure I'm only looking at my online. We'll choose this one. This one has 2 students, or 10 students. So when you're choosing authorization tickets, you have print settings that you can choose. So you can do 1, 2, 4, or 10. This is when you're doing a PDF. So if I do 4 tickets per page and save, and then choose for all students, I can do either PDF or CSV. So when I do PDF, it is going to print 4 tickets on a PDF, and then I could cut these out and distribute those. Or you can also, of course, use a CSV file, and it will open an Excel CSV file where you can expand that information and then use that as well for distributing test tickets. So you can do 1 or multiple, but if you do that 1 on a PDF, then it's going to be optimized that they have space to use that as their scratch paper if they want. Question about if this webinar is going to be archived and if it can be viewed later. We are recording this, and it will be posted onto the training on the Avocet under T for training. It will be made available here, both the PowerPoint as well as a recording. So we will be making that available. I don't know I forget when it will be available. Oh, I'm looking. So Danielle says by the end of the week or possibly early next week. So we'll be getting that out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll shoot to have it available as soon as possible for folks.
Another question about the DLM students. Should they remove their names from the ACT Aspire portal if they are in there?
The students should not be placed in a testing session. You don't have to remove them from the portal.
But you can if you want.
No, we would want to know who are the not tested students.
Okay.
So we recommend you to not remove them from the portal, but just not place them in the testing session.
Perfect. What date will pre-cache tests be uploaded? Jake, do you know when pre-caching will be available for the spring assessments? Do you have that information?
Let me look real quick. I will get back on that right quick.
Okay, we'll give Jake a moment to look up that when you'll be able to pre-cache your tests. We'll move on to if a student transfers out, what responsibility does the original school have? VG, I'm assuming this depends on possibly on when they transfer within the testing window. I don't know what the policy is on that.
They are basically asking for how to handle that in your portal.
Okay, so I mean, if a student transfers, then the new school in the portal would do a student transfer request. The original school will then need to come into their queue, and if there are any transfers that are in a pending status, I only have one that's approved right now, but any pending, it is now going to be the original school's responsibility to take action and either approve or reject that transfer request. So that is the change from last year, is that the original school does need to approve or reject those. The state is not doing that on your behalf this year. Okay, I'll move on to the next one while Jake continues on the pre-cache test. In the past, when I added room supervisors, they would get multiple emails that the supervisor would have to log into. Is that not happening? So yeah, this was implemented, I believe, in January. I'm going to show this. This is available on, show the TMS real quick. And our enhancement demos, this is from the November 20th through, or sorry, actually that one might be, I'm going to go back, it might be the October 16th through November 19th supplement. But yes, in the system, I'm going to show the change now. On the profile, each person can choose their notification settings. So as they get added into test sessions, and like you said, they used to get an email each time, they can manage if they want to opt in or out. If they unselect the box to send email notifications, and they'll opt out and they won't receive any email notifications. With that selected, they can receive each notification immediately, like they did in the past. You can get a daily summary, and those will be sent each day at midnight, or a weekly summary, in which case every Sunday at midnight, a weekly summary of all of their test session information would be there. So they can get a roll-up now as well. So that was implemented a little bit previously. This is their profile details. They can manage it themselves. Okay, Jake, have you been able to find that pre-cache information?
Yeah, so I spoke with a colleague, and it sounds like as soon as test forms are loaded, so on March 7th, they should be available.
Okay, so yeah, you'll be able to pre-cache starting March 7th. Perfect. Are the grade levels divided this year when setting up test sessions? Last year, grades 9 and 10 were all together. And that is, you can choose that as far as the tests that they are taking. You know, you have 9 and 10 is EHS is what it's called. So the students will be taking, you know, the same test form. How you create your test sessions is up to you, though. You can add students into those test sessions manually and you know, put them together if you want or separate if you want. When you create multiple, it is going to separate them by grade. So when you create multiple, that's when you best for schools who only want to do it at the grade level. They don't want to take into account groups or teachers or homerooms, anything like that, and it'll just create them specifically by grade and how many students are in that grade level. So it's very flexible how you want to create your test sessions.
I'm not seeing any more questions in our Q&A. I was just going to review the chat real quick. Doesn't look like there's any new questions in there either. If you have a question, feel free to send it to us through the Q&A box at the bottom. There should be a Q&A folder. Go ahead and type a question and we'll answer it for you. If not, feel free to jump off. We'll stay on for a few more minutes and see if there's any last-minute questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
I see a question about proctor caching cannot be done until March 7th. There's two sides to proctor caching. So the first part is your proctor caching setup, as far as making sure that the proctor caching software is installed and you know the proctor caching computers are configured. So you can start that process. The technology coordinators can get that, you know, the computers set up. They can come into their organization and set up the proctor cache settings so that you're entering the host ID or IP address, sorry. So that can get set up. As far as actually pre-caching the test, where you go here and choose pre-cache tests, the pre-caching cannot be done until March 7th, but you can get everything set up and ready to go so that once pre-caching is available, you come in and pre-cache your content. And then again, you'll need to have that completed by March 30th is the deadline to have all of your proctor caching set up.
Thanks, Sarah. It looks like folks are jumping off. Again, we'll just wait another minute or so and see if any last-minute questions come in. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. With that, I think we'll go ahead and end the training. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us via the customer service number. Thanks, everyone.